At the beginning of the year, I always like to predict the champions at the end of the UFC calendar year for each division. Now, I figured that this year I would actually share those picks with you and give my in-depth analysis on why I'm selecting these certain fighters. There's going to be many surprises as the majority of these predictions include new champions. A few sportsbooks also have their futures odds open right now, so I will show you the odds as well as describe if it's a good bet to make or not. And you know me, I love betting. Now this is going to be an exciting video, so let's just jump right into things. For women's strawweight, I have to stick with Zhang Weili. There are a lot of promising contenders in that division who I can see being champion one day. It's just hard to single out a select one. Weili's game is so well-rounded now that she's added jiu-jitsu and wrestling to her game, and her striking has stayed as good, if not better, than ever before. So right now, she's going to be more dominant in 2023 than ever. She's currently sitting at minus 150 right now to be the champion by the end of the year, and I'm not sure if that's the best bet to make just because there's so many potential fighters that could be a nightmare matchup for her. For the men's flyweight, I have a big change. Alexander Pantoja has been screwed out of the title picture for the last 3 years due to the Moreno-Figueiredo situation. I believe that regardless of who wins their fourth encounter, that it will be the last matchup in that series because it's just been holding the division hostage. Enter Pantoja, who's riding a 3-fight win streak right now over 3 of the most dangerous up-and-coming fighters in that division in Manel Kape, Alex Perez, and Brandon Royval. He's already won against Moreno before, so regardless who wins this fight, it will only be a matter of time before they face Pantoja. And honestly, I love this as a bet. Pantoja's odds right now are really juicy at plus 400. I'm going with another surprise pick here for women's flyweight. I'm going with Manon Fiorot. The Beast is on a 10-fight win streak and has dominated all of her fights. Most recently, she defeated Caitlin Jukagian and should be in line next up for the title shot if Shevchenko wants to fight this year. And Shevchenko actually showed that she might be losing her touch in that fight against Talia Santos. Fiorot is the younger, hungrier version of Valentina. They have very similar fighting styles, and I think that the upwards momentum of Fiorot may be enough to surprise the champion. Her odds are absolutely amazing right now at plus 650. Now, my bantamweight prediction pens whether or not the super fight happens between Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo. I do pick Sterling, though, which is going to upset a lot of people because they want to see Sugar Sean or Chito Vera be the champ. Neither have anywhere near the ground game of the champion, though. I don't think that they can compete with him, and I think he'll defeat them quite easily if they get that fight. If he does end up with a fight against Cejudo, though, I see Henry taking the win, so that division was a little hard to pick. For women's bantamweight and featherweight, who else? I have to stick with the GOAT, Amanda Nunes. No one will touch her. She showed her absolute dominance and power over Pena in that last fight, and I don't think she ever loses again. She may retire, so that would be your only shot at there being another champion. However, out of respect for Nunes, it may be a while before they decide another matchup. For men's featherweight, it's an easy pick. Even if he loses to Islam Makhachev, Alexander Volkanovski will continue his dominance over the featherweight division in 2023. His last fight against Max Holloway was one of the most perfect one-sided fights I've ever seen. His technique is just miles beyond anyone else in the UFC, and neither Josh Emmett nor Yair Rodriguez, who are going for the interim championship, scare me at all. I think Volkanovski handles them easily. For lightweight, we have another easy prediction here. I have to stick with Islam Makhachev. The only person I could actually see giving him a good fight is Alexander Volkanovski, but when it comes to the ground game, we just haven't seen Volkanovski tested enough to handle the wrestling of Makhachev. And he's the faster, better striking version of Khabib, and he's already shown that he can dominate Charles Oliveira, who already beat the top 4 of the division, so I don't think anyone stands a chance against Islam Makhachev. The only person that might would be Michael Chandler, but Chandler's got a long way to go before getting back to that championship picture after that loss to Dustin Poirier. Welterweight might upset some of you. I'm going with the pound-for-pound king. Yes, I am not going to say that Kamaru Usman is not the pound-for-pound best fighter on the planet just because he got head kicked. Kamaru Usman dominated and embarrassed Leon Edwards the entirety of that fight, even had a 10-8 round until he was knocked out. I see their second fight playing out very similarly to when Amanda Nunes came back against Pena. I think that Kamaru Usman is going to knock out Leon Edwards. He's even the betting favorite right now at plus 150 with Leon Edwards at 240. Another name to watch out for is Colby Covington, who I believe would destroy Edwards if Usman is out of that fight. So we'll see what happens there. And here we are, we're at the last three, and all three of these are actually going to be pretty surprising. My middleweight pick is out there. As you know, I am not a fan of Khamzat Chimaev. However, I cannot deny that he can run this middleweight division. The welterweight division has too many well-rounded competitors for him to take over. However, whether it's Adesanya or Pereira with the championship, he can hang with them striking, and he can take them down with ease. And it appears that he's been packing on weight. I've seen some pictures of Chimaev. He looks like he's truly ready to run through the middleweight division, and as long as he can avoid wrestlers like Jared Cannonier and Derek Brunson in his rise, I think he can quickly get to a title shot and win it by the end of the year. He's sitting though at plus 250, and I don't like those odds, especially not knowing if he's even going to be fighting in that division. The best bet to make, I think, of all of them is coming up next. The odds for the light heavyweight division surprise me a lot. Jiri Prochazka is sitting at the fourth highest odds for any competitor in the division at plus 450, and I love that bet because regardless of who is champion by the end of the year, when Jiri is healed up, he will get that first shot at the belt, and I do not see him losing to anyone. I only think that Glover Teixeira stands a chance at beating him, and he will be much older by the end of this year, and will already be after maybe 1 or 2 title fights, depending on if he gets past Jamal Hill this weekend. Now, Jiri is an amazing striker and a man to be feared, so I feel like a fighter, even an Ankalaev type, who's a better wrestler than Jiri will knock out. So I do love that bet. I think that's the best bet so far based on the odds at plus 450. Finally, the heavyweight division. This one should be an easy one, right? Francis? No, not Francis Ngannou. John? No, not John Jones. What if I told you that the scariest man on earth has been flying under the radar for some time now in the UFC? I'm talking about Sergey Pavlovich. This man has had so many first-round knockouts, it's not even funny. Tai Tuivasa lasted multiple rounds and almost actually knocked out Cyril Gane. And Cyril is one of the most technical strikers in the heavyweight division's history. And Sergey Pavlovich immediately just walked down Tai Tuivasa and knocked him out. Tai is one of the toughest fighters in the world, and he was knocked out like that. Derek Lewis knocked out like that. Everyone that Pavlovich faced before then knocked out like that. This man, Sergey Pavlovich, no one is going to favor him. No one is going to think about him. But when the John Jones and Francis Ngannou fight does not happen, how are you not going to deny that man of being #1 contender? He may even knock out Cyril Gane before that happens, and at that point, you have to give him Ngannou. I feel like the crowd would all be behind Ngannou. The entire sports world would be behind Ngannou, and with just one simple punch, Sergey Pavlovich could knock out Ngannou. Now, I'm not just going to talk about this man's striking power. He's an amazing wrestler and just never needed to showcase it because he just puts people out so fast. So he can be really surprising. And I like Pavlovich betting odds. He's at plus 700. So that is amazing. A $100 bet wins $700, returns $800. I love it. But it's going to be an awesome year for the UFC. I want to know what fights you guys are really looking forward to. I mean, we got a banger coming up this weekend with Glover Teixeira and Jamal Hill. Plenty of great fights already scheduled. Volkanovski, Makhachev is going to be awesome. So, like I said, what do you guys want to see this year from the UFC? Do you agree with some of these championship picks? Do you disagree, and why? I want to know. And as always, like this video and subscribe for more. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.